So we're obviously team BPA when it comes to the NFL draft, best player available. Because, hey, if you draft it for need, you will always be drafting for need. Just like the Vikings 98, they had 2,000-yard receivers in Chris Carter and Jake Reed. You didn't need Randy Moss. Or in 2007, you already had a 1,000-yard rusher in Chester Taylor. You didn't need Adrian Peterson at 7. Both of those worked out. So stockpile your team with as many talented players as possible instead of trying to just groove. Right? But the truth is that there are positions of need, but sometimes it is nice when the best player on your board or nearly the best player on your board is at a position that is of need. So sometimes the synergy just comes together. That's why I'm team. You fill your needs in free agency because you know exactly what you need, and you don't know how that board is going to break in the draft unless you're at the number 1 overall pick. So that's why I'm always team BPA, but Sometimes, some ways, it just works out. So we're going to go through the top 10 draft positions of need for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. There isn't going to be a lot of trickery and chicanery going on here. Number 1, outside cornerback. Yeesh. The Vikings at 12. Sauce Gardner could be in the mix, although I very much doubt he gets out of the top 10. Do we have like a gas mask bong video that we can put out there? I don't know. Stingley, the LSU connections with Durante Jones, who was the Vikings DB coach, became the LSU D coordinator, and is now the Vikings DB coach again. Would make sense. Also, Trent McDuffie from Washington is a guy that I love. Also, you got Andrew Booth Jr. Also, you got Gordon. Also have Kyra Lam coming out of Florida. So there's a lot of options for the Vikings, and they don't necessarily have to go with quarterback at 12 because they could wait until the second round. And if say the Vikings really love them some Jordan Davis. All right, so say Jordan Davis or an edge rusher or a wide receiver is there at 12, just take him. Top player on your board, take him. And guess what? Second round, there's going to be some pretty solid cornerbacks available. We'll talk about Gordon. Maybe Alam gets there. Maybe Emerson from Mississippi State. So there's going to be options. And this is going to be a very solid depth class in terms of guys taken from between picks 20 and 100. So if the Vikings don't take a corner at 12, I wouldn't freak out. Position number 2 of need for the Vikings, center. Now, it's pretty clear from Kevin O'Connell's comments that the Vikings are likely going to roll with Garrett Bradbury at center, but it shouldn't discount trying to upgrade the position. And also, if Bradbury isn't the guy, what other options do you currently have on the rooster? Because Mason Cole signed with the Steelers. I mean, Wyatt Davis, you flirted with working him at center. Same thing with Kyle Hinton. That's really about it. So what are you going to do? Now, Linderbaum at 12, I understand taking another undersized center in the first round and even as high as 12. It's not a premium position, but Tyler Linderbaum is that dude. We've said it on here. I think that it is backed up. He is the best center prospect in the last 5 seasons. You know, the problem is, outside of Linderbaum, there isn't really a day 2 center like a Creed Humphrey that you're really in love with. Cole Strange coming out of Chattanooga could potentially move into center. Dylan Parham also potentially could move to the pivot. So, I mean, it's possible. 3, position need for the Vikings. Yeah, actually, I lied. We are going to be controversial. So, nose tackle. The Vikings got rid of Michael Pierce, and yes, you do have Diesel Dalvin Thompson, and yes, you do have Harrison Phillips. Neither one of those guys, even though they have a lot of nose tackle experience, are your prototypical odd front nose tackle. Like, we're talking about 350-pound dudes who can take up multiple offensive linemen and 2 gap. Right? So, the Vikings don't really have that. So, that's why Jordan Davis is just out there chilling, man. Jordan Davis is out there chilling. Travis Jones of UConn. John Ridgway of Arkansas. So I think the Vikings should and could have an open mind. Just add up and stack up the meats. Because even though the Vikings on paper are pretty good at nose tackle, you got Armont for Watts. You have Diesel Dalvin. You have James Lynch, who played pass rushing nose tackle last year. And you also got Harrison Phillips. Dalvin Thompson is in the final year of his Vikings deal, so he could be gone next offseason. Harrison Phillips' 3-year deal is basically a 1-year deal. So we'll see. Next up, number 4 position of need for the Vikings, right guard. Yes, where even though you signed Jesse Davis and he's sort of penciled in as your starting right guard now, I love me some Wyatt Davis. I like Blake Brandel. Kyle Hinton, one time, you could still certainly use some upgrading and some freshening. Now, 12 seems a little bit rich for Zion Johnson from Boston College and Kenyon Green from A&M, but And also, neither of them are probably going to get to you in the second round at 46. But the aforementioned Cole Strange, Ordell Parham, or Ed Ingram, there are a bunch of intriguing guard prospects that can be had on day 2. Next up, position of need number 5. Ooh, controversial. Tight end. So this all stems off of Kevin O'Connell's comments on Tuesday that they're going to take it easy with Irv Smith and his meniscus. So he potentially could be behind the timetable in terms of rehab. So I don't know. They let Gronklin go to the Jets. Who else do you really have behind him? I mean, you're not really fired up about Davidson. So potentially the Vikings could and should take a look at tight end. Now, it's not a overwhelming tight end class. Like, I would be shocked if one is taken in, I don't know, the top 40, somewhere there. But Trey McBride from Colorado State, Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina, Jelani Woods, etc. Derek Deese Jr., I think is going to be really good out of San Jose State as well. The Vikings potentially could look at options for, tight end 2, tight end 3, and potentially just adding some depth and maybe panning out a little bit better in the future. Position of need number 6 for the Vikings heading into the draft. Outside corner. Yes. Double dip the chip. So the fact that the Vikings, as of right now, if they were going to start the season, their outside cornerbacks are probably going to be Chris Boyd and Cameron Tiny Dantzler. Even though I like both those guys, I love me some Harrison Hand as well. You do need to add a little bit of talent. And I think the Vikings could double dip in terms of cornerback talent. And even if they take a cornerback in the first round, if the right guy is there in the second round or third round, then it turns into a bit of a BPA situation where it's not even drafting for need. He's just the best player potentially on your board. So I frankly, if the Vikings got Sauce at 12 somehow, some way, and then they came around in the second round and took Alam, that would be gross. Just think of all that length on the outside. Or hell, Sauce Gardner, and then at the top of day 3, get his Cincinnati teammate Kobe Bryant, the other cornerback. Why not? Why the hell not? Next up, position of need number 7 for the Vikings heading into the draft. Wide receiver. So the Vikings are very likely going to play a lot more 3-wide, 11 personnel with Kevin O'Connell. Justin friggin' Jefferson is quickly becoming the best wide receiver in the game. Thielen still has some tread on the tires. KJ is a very solid wide receiver. We'll call him wide receiver 2.5. ISM is untapped, but even though you have BC, I would love to add some talent. And because the modern NFL, you got to be able to win a shootout and you got to be able to have great wide receivers. So, I mean, if the right guy is there at 12, I would consider it. We did a mock draft where we took Jamison Williams at 12, even though he's going to be sitting for a while as he rehabs from his ACL, or Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, or Drake London, the power forward. So they need to consider it. Just because if it's going to be a track meet, you got to have some track athletes. And if you want to open up the passing game, more pass catchers, the better. Absolutely. Also, don't tease me with Calvin Austin III, man. He's just fantastic. Jahan Dotson, come on. Position number 8 of need for the Vikings heading into the draft. Slot cornerback. So even though they signed Shondon Sullivan, come over from the Packers, as well as you got Hairston, who's played in the slot a little bit. Harrison Hand also has some slot experience. You just need to find that guy. Now, Shondon is relatively young. He could be that guy long term, but I would like some backup. So we're talking about Auburn's Roger McCreary, who I think could slide into the slot fantastically. Probably going to be a second-round pick. The aforementioned Kobe Bryant is probably going to be a day 3 selection. The marvelous Marcus Jones coming out of Houston also adds some special teams prowess. Cam Taylor-Britt coming out of Nebraska, I think could be a phenomenal slot cornerback as well. So the Vikings have to take a look. Next up, position number 9 of need for the Vikings heading into the draft. Quarterback. Don't at me, man. Because even though Kirk is going to be the guy through next year, I do think that Kellen Mond could be the high-end backup. Who knows with Sean Mannion? But if the right guy is there, probably not at 12, but either at 46 or in the third round, I think that you do have to consider it. Like, for example, if Desmond Ridder somehow gets to 46 in the second round, or Sam Howell or whatever, you got to think about it. Or even though I'm not the biggest Carson Strong fan, if he gets to the third round and the Vikings are on the clock, I think that you have to consider it just in terms of absolute value, because I think that would be a steal at that point. Lastly, position number 10. Position number 10 of need for the Vikings heading into the draft. Safety, right? So even though Harrison Smith, they restructured his contract, he's going to be in purple for a while. Cameron Bynum is a stud as well, and hopefully he'll take over the starting job if the right guy is there. And yes, we are talking about Kyle Hamilton if he falls there to 12, but also Daxton Hill, also Jalen Pietri coming out of Baylor. So there is a lot of talent in terms of the back end of the defense, because if you think about it, the depth wise, it's Josh Metellus and Miles Dorn, which no. Plus, if you do take a high-end safety, say they take Hamilton at 12 or Daxton Hill at 46 if he gets there, and then potentially what you could do is a lot of three safety defenses, a la what Belichick has been using with the Patriots for a long time, and then also using Cameron Bynum's versatility as a corner, as a safety, in the slot. Do whatever you want to do with them, etc. But that's it. That is taking a look at the top 10 positions of need for the Vikings heading into the draft. What are your thoughts and our thoughts? Where did we get it right? And where did we get it right? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Most worth the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.